Slough, Tan Desi. Morning to you.
Good morning, Kirsten.
What's your reaction then to this increase in cases?
I think it's extremely concerning that the number of cases is now back on the rise in Slough, as it is across the country. This morning we passed the grim figure of more than 1 million deaths worldwide within the last 10 months because of this pandemic. And in Slough, we have been through that. There was a time when Slough was a hotspot for the coronavirus. So many fatalities and people losing loved ones. And then we seem to have come out of that. But only recently, Kirsten, we were put back onto the COVID watch list. But after a lot of hard work by the Council for Voluntary Service, Slough Borough Council and other organisations as part of One Slough initiative as well, we managed to come out of that watch list. But now the recent news is very, very concerning. So what I would request everybody within the wider public, within Slough and elsewhere, is that please follow government guidance. So in terms of wearing face coverings when shopping or in public transport or other enclosed spaces, maintaining our social distancing, and also in terms of hygiene, washing our hands. So that's how we can stop the virus from transmitting further within the public. But I think it's also incumbent on the government to be making sure that we have a world-beating test, tracing and isolating system in place. I think that's been the real concern, is that in terms of test and trace, the excellent facility that we did have at Montham, which you just mentioned, unfortunately, that from being a drive-through and a walk-in centre, that the government has now stipulated that must be an appointment-only site, and that has meant that many individuals have not got access to testing.
Got you, yeah. Do you think stronger measures might be coming for Slough then, like in the northeast? And if they did, do you think you would know about it? Because quite a lot of these are sort of just happening and surprising MPs and things that are happening in their area, aren't they?
Well, I think if we are not able to control the spread of the virus, then unfortunately I think that's where we'd be heading. And you're also right to point out, Kirsten, that so many times local authorities or the local member of parliament is not actually aware of what's going on. So it's when, for example, the site became appointment only, we were all flabbergasted, because that's not where we wanted to be, because we know that in terms of tackling this virus, our number one weapon, as the World Health Organization has also said, is test. It's about testing and tracing. But unfortunately, Kirsten, I mean, there are so many examples within our casework of people not being able to get a test or being asked to drive hundreds of miles or even catch a ferry to the Isle of Wight. I've got one of my caseworkers, her daughter had symptoms. She went to the hospital, but unfortunately was not able to get a test. Nobody in their family can get a test, so they are now having to self-isolate, even those that aren't displaying symptoms. And what that's meaning is that people aren't able to get to work, or they can't go to school, and their lives are being disrupted. And we were promised a world-beating app, and that is still not there. So we know that the government have been too slow at linking local authorities to test and trace. And I know that in Slough, what's happened is rather than rely on the national system, as has happened in many other parts of the country, local authorities have initiated their own test and trace system, which in itself is absolutely a ludicrous situation, because we had been saying to the government from the get-go that rather than being very, very fast, very swift at handing contracts to big private companies, it should really be under public health, it should be under the NHS, and we should have local authorities or individuals who have got local knowledge to be in charge of the test and trace system. But instead of that, we've got cuts to local services, and our local health professionals are not being able to take control of the testing system.
In the meantime then, Tan, what would your message be for your constituents maybe waking up listening to the news this morning? What would your message be?
My number one message to the constituents is please follow government guidance And please ensure that if you do have symptoms, that try to book a test. And if in the unfortunate situation that you're not able to book a test, then please self-isolate. And there are, for those areas in Slough, especially in the town centre and in Charley, we've got issues with people not maintaining social distance. Please do maintain social distance, because otherwise not only do you risk yourselves, but you risk other people within the family, within your family, who may well end up contracting the virus.
Thank you, Tan. That's the MP for Slough, Tan Dessy, there on that news of Slough's increase in cases this morning.